What is something you got rid of years ago that you wish you kept? I once dug a fossilized turtle shell out of a creek bed near my house when I was a teenager. I wish I still had it. You dug a fossilized turtle shell out of a creek bed bear? That's crazy. Pretty standard stuff teenagers do. You know. This one shoebox full of Hot Wheels. Many of them were old as shit and I seriously don't know how they got into my hands. I now know that many people collect said old cars. My old Minecraft worlds. Same. I really wish I kept the very first world I created. I didn't have any cash at the time, so I pirated a copy until I could buy a copy. When I got the game a couple weeks later, birthday present from a friend, I deleted all my worlds and started new. My large stack of weekly world news. Bought them one by one when I was a young'un. Loved when Dear Dottie called everyone pinhead and Ed Anger whined about bleeding heart liberals in their columns. My stack was almost as tall as I was. They recycled a lot of their crazy stories. Would love to go through them now. Bad boy. Seems like he was on the cover at least once a month. My 1964 Fender Bassman. A 78 Datsun 280Z and a 69 Mustang GT. My DJ rig. I had to sell it off to get some quick cash, and it was the most valuable thing I had at that time that I didn't have time to use. Now I do, but I can't be asked to just get a new rig. My entire set of classic Ninja Turtles. Pokemon cards. I was into Pokemon cards when they were pretty new and had a nice collection, but I gave them all to a younger cousin when I stopped playing with them. Years and years later, I saw the prices those individual cards went for on online platforms. That collection would probably been worth a few €1,000. Only really worth money if they're in mint condition. If you played with them and stuff, their value would be pretty low now. Flappy Birds. The original. I factory reset the old phone, forgetting I wanted to keep that one forever. If you had the original, you can still download it by going on your purchase history. I've done it for years. All my old drawings from when I was younger sucks. I can't see how I've improved over the years. Some of my old Polaroids. It would be nice to look back on. I cold scanned them or something at least. Did you toss them? Why? I've definitely considered tossing out old Polaroids after a breakup. Came across them again last month. I feel meh towards them RN, but I'm still holding on to them in case maybe one day I'll look back on that relationship with sentiment. My first computer. Windows XP desktop. Threw it in the trash when it stopped working in 2014. Feels bad. Well, I had some Apple stock from before the iPhone. But I also sold most of it before the iPhone too. Damn, probably an increase by 22,700% at peak RIP. My Nintendo DS. They're not very expensive if you buy them used, and if you get a flash card you can load it up with whatever games you'd like. I recently got back to mine and got a flash card myself, and it's a lot of fun to relive all those games I used to play back then. Load it up with whatever games you'd like. Ah, I see you're a man of culture as well. I recently got a new 3DS XL and it really is extremely easy to put a CFW on it. Now I can play all the games I've played in my childhood. It's great. My 200 Yu-Gi-Oh cards, including 2 Exodia cards, a set of Exodia parts, Obelisk, Ra, and Slifer. To be fair, most cards, especially that were used, are basically worthless. I had a lot of them too, but as soon as my mother saw a stupid TV program announcing that the illustrations contained satanic symbols and messages, she convinced me to throw them all away. I could only manage to keep some, but Blue-Eyed White Dragon and Relinquished are gone forever. I can't recall if I'd rented or not, but maybe we burned some of the cards together one summer night in our garden. Edit. To be clear, I was forced to give them to my mother. I was like 7. It's just another reason why I can't fucking stand her. That note some strangers on a train dropped next to my seat. I threw it away without wondering what they wrote, and am fucking curious. My first global Dokkan Battle account. My Gamma Boy Advance and Pokemon collection. It was more of my parents that lost them when we moved house. But it still haunts me. Mayo. My collection of Pokemon cards. I had more than 200, but gave them away. Never regretted something more in my life. $50 bucks buys you 200 at Target. Go spend $50 and relive the days when they were actually rare. Enema Vinyl Ash X200B. It goes for like $500 now. A couple of CDs. My old diaries. Was too scared my parents would go through my room and discover it when I was away at camp. So much regret, because it would have been so interesting to look back and read about how younger me thought and viewed life and the things that I deemed important to me back then. I kept my old diaries, but moved around a lot on my 20s and left them at my parents' house. When the time came to clean out my stuff, I was in my mid-30s. I went through them again, thinking it would be pretty cool to revisit 14-year-old me. I cringed so hard I ended up throwing them out. My Nintendo 64 with around 10 games, including Super Mario 64 and GoldenEye, that I sold when I was around 11y/0. The girl took advantage of the fact that I was young and that $160 was a lot for a kid. I'm now in my early 20s and I'm still a bit mad at myself. My Legacy Commodore 64. My Lego sets. I had a ton of the old pirate sets and a lot of the old space sets too. In high school I decided I was too old for them, so I started giving them away. Now that I have kids of my own, I regret not being able to hand those sets down to them, especially since Lego doesn't really make sets like that anymore. My Yu-Gi-Oh collection. Had some cards that are being sold for hundreds on eBay. I was a young teenager just before Magic: The Gathering exploded. I got into the game just after Unlimited was released. At one point I had 4 of the 5 Marxes, 2 to 10 of every Dual Land, Beta and Unlimited, and several other less notable, but still rare cards. As I grew older and got out of the game, I gave them away to friends who still played. For free. I kick myself to this day. My old Wii. Me and my brother would play Super Mario Galaxy on it for hours, but we sold it at GameStop for $20 or something. Back when Harry Potter was in its boom, I got into designing wands. There's an art book out there somewhere chock full of drawings, design specs, musings on materials and different design requirement possibilities. A pointy wand wood is used because it allows magic to be carefully harnessed towards sophisticated spell work, but what if you wanted a purely offensive wand? A material that resonates and amplifies would suit that better. So I created a line of crystal wands. Wands with other magic systems incorporated, on Magi talisman wands, wands with runic spells on them, wands that were designed to split in 2. I wish I knew where that book was. That book sounds fascinating, would totally buy that. I sold a beautiful 12-string guitar. Traded it in. Didn't even get my money's worth out of it. Got an amazing Takamine 6-string out of it. But I wish I had just saved some more money and kept the 12-string as well. Edit. Wow, this comment blew up. As some people said below, I'll never sell a guitar again. I traded my 7-string Schecter for a flight ticket to Ireland. Won't say I regret that move, but man, I miss that guitar. My banknote has a 7-string checker and the thing's a beauty. I get your pain, my man. My old hard drive that I accidentally wiped the entire partition that had like 10 plus years of my artwork saved on it. Edit, lol. I appreciate everyone's concern. This was well over a decade ago, and I was transferring my old hard drive to the new computer. Thought I transferred all the partitions, but was wrong, and I already wiped the drive. I had a zip drive backup, but no zip drive on the new computer, and didn't care enough to buy and install a new zip drive. Nostalgia, though. Things like this suck. I'm sorry, man. I can't even imagine. Learn to do proper backups, people. My 1993 and 1994 Magic the Gathering cards. I still have all of mine. I price checked some of the good ones recently, and my collection is worth a few $100 at the most. I'll give them to my nephew when he's old enough, if he wants them. Hello, it's me. Your nephew. I'm older now. Please send an original copy of Little Mermaid on VHS that had the penis on the castle. Did it also have the priest getting a boner? I owned said movie, and yes. I've been repurchasing a lot of old 2ED&D books. My collection would be much better if I hadn't parted with so many when I was younger. I had a binder nearly full of all the Charizard cards I traded for /board/open/ as a kid. I would normally offer kids a ton of cards for one Charizard, and now I realize I likely threw away so much money. I did it in middle school because I wanted to be cool and figured I shouldn't have them anymore.